Hi, I am George M. Alabotite. I'm here to give a lecture on elementary mathematics. As we all know, it has to do with basic concepts of mathematics, or you say basic mathematical concepts. In the university setting, the elementary mathematics, its code is Maths 101. MTH 101. MTH 101. Now, in elementary mathematics, we have some few topics that we have to go through, which I know most of us here, we are familiar with. One of it is elementary set theory. Elementary set theory. The other topic that we have to look at in this elementary mathematics is real number systems. The third one is indices. The fourth one is logarithms. Fifth one to consider is simple inequalities. In simple inequalities. The other one to consider is theories of quadratic equations. Theory of quadratic equations. The next one to consider is series and sequences. Series. The other one is permutation and combination. Permutation and combination. The other topic to consider in elementary mathematics is binomial theory. Binomial theory. Next to consider is polynomials and polynomials. The other one next to it is polynomial factorization. Factorization. Next to consider is partial fraction. We have surds to consider, surds, trigonometry, and complex numbers. Now, if we are able to cover these few topics, I know at least we are good to go as far as elementary mathematics is concerned. So in course of today's class, we are going to consider elementary set theory. Elementary set theory. Elementary set theory. Now, I'm pleased to let us know that in elementary set theory, there are also few subtopics that we are likely to cover, such as set notation, we have set description. We will also know what set description is. Set description. We will also want to talk about the cardinality of a set. Cardinality of a set. Of sets. We have set builder. Set builder form or methods or specifier. Methods. We have equality of sets. We have to also know what null sets is. Subsets. When a set is said to be subset of a set of sets. Proper, improper, proper subsets. Proper subsets, improper subsets. Improper subsets. We have power sets. Also know what power sets are. Disjoint sets. Disjoint set. Universal sets. Universal sets. Then we will also go ahead determining some set operations. Like in set operations, like the union, intersection, the difference, the complements of sets. Set operations. Set operations. In them we have the union of sets. Union of sets. We have intersection of sets. We have difference. Difference of sets. The complements of sets. And lastly, we are going to consider the Venn diagram. Now, these are few topics that we will want to consider in set theory. Now, first of all, before I venture into them, I will want to briefly tell us what set theory is all about. Let's just have a clue of what set theory is all about. Now, as we all know, human beings are encompassed with activities sometimes having to do with individual items or group of items. What am I saying? In our daily activities, we are used to carrying out one activities or the other. Example, we are used to, in the morning, preparing of meals. And if we are to prepare meals, we know that we might choose to prepare breakfast. We might choose to have breakfast or brunch. If we don't do that, we go for lunch. If we don't go for lunch, we go for supper. We have, or you prepare dinner. Sometimes some persons may want to be engaged with visitation as an activity of the day. And they may choose to visit uncles, they may want to visit nephews, friends, nieces, and so on. Others may want to be engaged with reading of books, reading of novels, reading of scientific books or newspapers, as the case may be. So you can see that human life is full of engaging in one activity or the other. Now, I am pleased to tell us that these activities that we are talking about, some may choose to carry out just one individual activity. Some may choose to carry out two activities, like in terms of preparation of meals. One may choose to prepare breakfast and dinner only. Some may choose to prepare breakfast and lunch only, as the case may be. Some other person may choose to prepare breakfast, lunch, supper, or dinner, as the case may be. So you can see that as a human being, either you are engaged with one activities or group of activities. And it's also the same in the case of the other examples, for that of visitation or reading of books. You can choose to read two different set of books a day. You can choose to read one book. You can, in terms of visitation, you can choose to visit just an uncle or a friend, or visiting nieces, uncles, and friends, or as the case may be. So in other words, we are saying that life is full of carrying out or engaging in activities, one or multiple activities. So these items, these things that I have talked about, these activities, individual or group of activities like that of the supper, visitation of uncle or nieces, all those ones, in this, for the sake of this concept, we are going to be calling them either items or objects. So in other words, somebody can say, we are always engaged with carrying out one item of an activity or multiple items or objects, as the case may be. Now, these things that we want to talk about, that we call items, it might not be just visitation or a preparation of meals. It might not be visitation or only preparation of meal. We can also talk about collection or doing business with counting numbers. Doing business with counting numbers. Now, if we are to do business with counting numbers, then meaning that we are looking at items, counting numbers, we're looking at items 0, 1, 2, 3, on we go. Others can also choose to be engaged with alphabets. Alphabets. Items like alphabet. And if we're considering them, it has to do with A, B, C, and so on and so to Z. Now, these ones that we've made mention of outside the preparation of meals, you can see that these ones are things that we can itemize, numerical numbers, and these are alphabets. Now, the items that we have to consider may not be only numerical items nor alphabets. They might be anything other than numerical or alphabets. How do I mean? We can consider a population in a particular geographical area. We can choose to consider number of houses in a particular area. We can choose to consider number of people on earth, people that are alive on earth, or names of countries, names of people in a particular place. So all these things, we can refer them to as items as we go on. Now, these ones that we have made mention of, like that of the counting numbers, you can see that these ones tend to, as they are presented here, you can see that they are things that we can count, but they tend to infinity. These dots, these 3 dots at the end is indicating that and so on. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So it tends to a point where we may not count again. It tends to a number that is uncountable. So in other words, someone can say that this number tends to infinity. Now, whereas in this case here, the items that are here are countable. Because you can count A to Z, and we know that there are 26 in numbers. So in other words, the set of numbers the items that we might be dealing with are either countable numbers, items, or uncountable items, as the case may be. Now, in the examples that I have given, we can see that there are some items that we can itemize, like that of if I say I want to consider number of days in a week. We have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to Saturday. You can itemize them. If you want to talk about months in a year, you can itemize them. But if you want to talk about people living on earth, these are not things you can itemize. So if we're talking about people living on earth, set of people on earth, this set, we can't itemize them the way that we did in the case of the counting numbers and that of the alphabet. Now, these ones that we cannot itemize are referred to as the set of, or a set of abstract numbers. A set of abstract numbers. So, in other words, the collection of these terms, either an individual term or set of terms or group of items, is what we are to look at. Let me also give another example in terms of English language writings. Now, if you concentrate on English language writing, you know that these alphabets comes into play with some punctuation marks like commas, full stops, colon, semicolon, question mark, as the case may be, to separate sometimes sentences. But I am here to tell us that in this case here, these alphabets that we are referring to here represents the items, the set of items. Now, I want us to reason further by saying a collection of, because I said we can do with a collection of an individual item or group of items. So if we choose to have a combination, a collection of these alphabets and commas, you see that it makes up a word, like a collection of A and maybe another the term, say M. This is a collection of two terms, and it forms a word. A collection of individual items have made a word. So this one is now this one is an item, but it's a collection of two terms now, which has made a word. Now, I am also proud to tell you that these ones are also separate terms now, because of the way we have presented them. Now, a collection of different words makes a sentence. Initially, just alphabets. A collection of alphabets makes a word. And a collection of words makes a sentence. And you can further say that a collection of sentences makes an essay. And so on. Or somebody can say a collection of essay makes a book, as the case may be. So as far as this topic is concerned, we are here to discuss the collection of items or group of items. That is just a concept here. So with this that we have introduced, somebody can say that then what is set? What is a set? In layman words, I can say is an idea that has to do with collection of an individual term or group of terms. But as we go on, we are going to give good definition of what set theory is. Or somebody can say, with these that I have given, or those ones that I have itemized, you can see that all these things are collection of items, and you call them this one either counting numbers, or you say whole numbers. Whole numbers. Now these ones, they are, as I've already stated, set of terms, individual items. Now, because you can also collect them in terms of grouping, in terms of words, in terms of sentences, yes, these ones are also well defined. They are also well defined. These ones are counting numbers, these ones are also well defined. Even that of people on earth, or the aged people that are below a particular age, they are all well defined. So in other words, somebody can say that set is or can be said to be a well-defined collection of an object. A set of well-defined collection of items or elements. Now, as we have stated, this is an example, this is an example, this is also an example. Or somebody can say set of solutions in a quadratic equation. We can consider this even as a set, the solution of a quadratic equation. And the equation we can have it to be this minus x minus 2 equals 0. The solutions of this quadratic equation can also be a set. So you can see that either we are talking about counting numbers or alphabets, but the items must not be only counting numbers or alphabets, but anything that you can think of as a human being that you can do with in terms of an individual object or a collection of objects. Now with this, I know that at least we have gotten a good background knowledge to an extent of what set is. So conclusively, I'm saying that set, this theory that we want to talk about, or set as a topic that we want to talk about, talks about the collection, something that has to do with a collection of either an individual item or set of items. But these items must be well defined. So it can be defined as a collection of well-defined sets of elements. As we move further, we are going to understand what it really meant and its principle or concept, as the case may be. Let's watch out for the next video as we go on introducing the subtopics. Thank you.